Hello everyone, we are from Group 5, consists of Hayatun Nikmah, Nian Husna, Rusida, and Yuliana. Our material is about developing relationships. Developing relationships is the third component of classroom management. The idea of developing caring relationships is often overlooked during conversations about classroom management. So, how and why is the task of developing caring relationships important in a teacher's overall classroom management plan? As we know, all learning takes risk. Whether a teacher asks a student to write an answer on the board, shoot a basketball into the hoop, or spell a word in front of the class, there is an element of risk involved. The degree of risk depends on the individual student's personality. For example, an extroverted student will be more likely to take a risk more quickly than an introverted student. Students will not take risks if they don't feel safe and cared for by their teacher and their classmates. Some research consistently affirms that students who perceive their teacher to be caring and respectful are more likely to cooperate, adhere to classroom rules and routines, and engage in academic activities. In light of this, it is the teacher's responsibility to develop caring relationships with his or her students and among the students in the class. These two types of relationships are discussed below. Teacher-student relationships. It is clear that students respond better to caring teachers. So, people who choose to enter the teaching professions need to bring with them a caring dispositions. There are many different ways to communicate to students that you care about them both academically and personally. Following are some examples. The first one is maintain a sense of humor. Humor plays an integral role in creating a comfortable learning environment. And it is vital to be able to laugh at yourself when you make mistakes, such when you get tongue-tied and say the wrong word and something silly came out. Take this opportunity to laugh at yourself. Likewise, laugh with your students when something is funny, but also be able to regain order quickly. Do not lose too much time for academics. Next is be a real person. Students love to learn personal information about their teachers because, for some reasons, they have trouble when understanding if their teachers is a real person with life outside the school building. So don't be afraid to let your students into your life a little, such what is your hobby, your favorite books, and so on. When you ask your students what they are planning to do on the holiday, consider to sharing your plans as well. Frequently, when you share some personal information about yourself, those are the time the students find out that they have something in common with you. As a result, students often feel more connected with you and are more likely to follow the rules and routines and engage in academic tasks. Remember that the goal of sharing information with students is to help make connections and get to know students better, not to develop a friendship with them. Remember to be cautious about the type of personal information you choose to share and be certain to maintain a professional distance with your students. Next is be welcoming. There are many simple but effective ways to help accomplish this goal. Consider greeting your students at the door as they arrive in the morning or for that particular period of the day. What could be more welcoming than seeing your teacher anxiously awaiting for your arrival? In addition, be sure to say good morning or hello to each student and do so with a smile and by using their name, because students appreciate it when a teacher learns and uses their name quickly in the school year. Next is provide extra help. Students need to know that you are available to provide extra help when they need it. You can take the initiative by inviting students who are struggling with a particular concept to come before or after school or during a study hall period for tutoring rather than wait for the students to seek out help. Another alternative that may help students improve their grades is providing extra credit assignment or projects. If you are willing to give up some of your own free time or be flexible in creating feasible extra credit assignment for students, they will definitely believe that you care about their academic success. Next is provide ongoing feedback. For students to be successful, they need to receive ongoing feedback about how they are doing in each subject. To facilitate this, make time to regularly evaluate whether students are achieving learning goals and communicate this information to your students and, when appropriate, to parents. A popular method in elementary school is Friday folder system, where the teachers send a note to home to parents each week highlighting some of students' successes and challenges during that particular week. Then, the parent is expected to send a note and return the folder on Monday. Alternatively, you can develop a system where you have a 5-minute conference with each student once every 2 weeks to provide some information and some informal feedbacks about how the student is doing. There are some kinds of systems that can facilitate this process. Choose a system that works for you and be consistent so you are confident that students and parents are receiving the pertinent information.
Encourage students to regulate their own learning. Here, students receive ongoing and consistent feedback about their progress. They are more aware of how they are doing and what they need to do to improve. Teach them how to set learning goals, develop a plan for how to achieve them, and a plan for how to evaluate whether they have achieved their goals. Be available to talk. Sometimes, some students have problems that can interfere with their learning. There are many times when students are just looking for a sympathy and need someone to listen to them for a few minutes. Although you are not a counselor, you can play a crucial role in that process. Here, you are a good listener and a good counselor. Students will like to speak with you because they trust you and now developing relationship that you care about them. Be sensitive to students' personal concerns. Sometimes, students are sensitive to or preoccupied with certain situations or circumstances in their life that are also interfering with their learning. For example, is one student having a difficult time because her parents are getting divorced? Anything that can interfere with students' learning. As teachers, we can try to be aware of the fact that one of our students might be off because something is bothering her. Once we are aware, we can go out of our way to provide some extra special attention to that particular student. Again, this extra attention helps communicate to students that we care about them. Learn about students' cultural backgrounds. In a multicultural classroom, another critical point in developing effective interpersonal relationships with your students is that you must understand and appreciate the cultural backgrounds of your students and their families. It is not possible to build caring relationships with your students if students believe that you dislike their cultures or are disinterested in them. So, it is important to learn more about your student cultures. One simple idea is to just talk to students and ask the questions about traditions and events in their cultures. Students are usually proud of their heritage and welcome the opportunity to share this important part of what makes them unique. They will be very excited to share. All the information that you'll learn about your students and their culture backgrounds will help you develop caring relationship with your students, which will make you a more effective classroom manager. Take a personal interest in students. Getting to know our students outside the classroom goes a long way toward helping them know that we care about them as people. There are many ways to get to know our students. Learn more detail about each student, such as his or her favorite sport, hobby, or book. Think about attending students' performance and club activities such as soccer, games, theater performances, and so on. Finally, just talk to students about their personal lives. Once we know our students a little better as people, we can also use examples from their personal lives to illustrate academic concepts, which helps make learning more engaging. For example, the teacher including the names of student favorite sport teams in a math problems can increase the students' interest. Relationships among students. Relationships among the students in a classroom also have a strong impact on classroom management. The better students get along with one another, the fewer problems will arise in the classroom. The key to developing positive interpersonal relationships among students is to provide students with opportunities to form connections with their classmates. The goal is to develop a caring and respectful classroom environment in which students respect each other, and in which academic and social emotional learning can take place as a result. A good way to help students form connections with their classmates is through the use of community building activities. These are class activities that help students learn more about each other as people or help students learn to work together as a team. In general, community building activities fall into two categories. The first is get to know you activities. The goal is for students to learn about each other so they will feel a more personal connection. The second are team building activities, which require the whole class or a small group to work together to accomplish a task successfully. These activities promote positive interconnection because the students need to work together to success. Okay, in Get to Know Your Activities, there are several activities that students can do. First, beach ball. Get a large inflatable lid and use a permanent marker to write as many get to know you questions as you can fit on the ball. Then ask the class to form a large circle and toss the ball around. Each time a student catches the ball, he or she must answer the questions there is under one of his or she two tops before the ball is tossed by that student to the next person. Some sample questions include the following: what is your dream job? Describe yourself in 3 words. What is your most embarrassing moment? The samples depends on what the teacher wants to make.
So here I want to continue Nian Husna's explanation. The second way to improve relationship among students is by human scavenger hunt. Here students are given a list with 25 to 30 different characteristics, and then students walk around the class and asking each other with the aim of finding someone in the class that matches to the descriptions. So with this activity, the student will be more creative and get new vocabulary in English. Next is lollipop. The third way is called lollipop. The way to play this is to give a lollipop to the group, then each letter that appears in the flavor of the lollipop, the participant must share something about themselves to the group. So, next is team building activities. There are several ways in team building activities. The first is the human knot. Here, students are divided into groups about 10 people. Then they stand in a circle with their hands. There are two rules. The first is student may not hold both hands of the same person, and the second, student may not hold hands with the person on either side of them. The goal for each group to work together to untangle themselves without letting go of their hands. They are successful when they end up back in a circle. Next is a birthday lineup. Here, students are asked to arrange themselves in a straight line according to their birthday, January to December, and they must do this without speaking in a limited time. Next is we all connect. The next way is that a first student starts by making a statement about himself or herself and then places the hand on the hip. And this method continues until the student is connected to the circle. Here, a student gives a limit for all activities. For the example, a student might say, "My favorite food is chocolate," and then other person say, "I went to Hershey Park on the vacation this summer," and then another student might say, "I spent the summer surfing and swimming." This activity functions as a team building activity and getting to know you. Next is a master designer. How to carry out this activity is by dividing students into groups of 4 or 5 people. Then students are given envelopes with geometric shapes in them, along with cardboard enclosures. Students arrange their geometric shapes into design. Students sit so that they cannot see each other designs behind the cartoon. Each student takes turn being the master designer and trying to explain her or his design using words and gestures, but without touching or showing the parts. And other students try to reproduce the design of the master designer. So next is a teacher-parent relationship. Parental involvement is very important in a child's learning process. Parental involvement means that parents stay abreast of what their children's assignments are and what they are doing in school, and the parent attend to school functions such as athletic events or concerts and back to school night. In addition, the researcher also said that the involvement of parents also increased student achievement, behavior, values, and character. So as a teacher, it is your professional responsibility to work to build cooperative relationship with parents that will most benefit your students. Cooperative relationships do not happen automatically. They require mutual effort and good communication and interpersonal skills. So, here are some strategies that you can implement to foster cooperative relationship with your students' families are the following. The first is send a welcome letter to parents at the beginning of the school year. This must be written in a positive way that expresses the enthusiasm of having their child in class. The second is make the first interaction with students' parents. For example, during the first week of school, write a note or email home for the parents of certain children and tell them about something you observe the child is fine. The third is send positive notes and emails home throughout the school year. Both students and parents love to receive positive notes, so send progress notes home. Progress notes allow parents to stay up to date about their child are doing in the class. Next is welcome parent input. Parents are invaluable resource when you are trying to get know your students, and they will welcome the opportunity to help you learn about their child. Next is Invite parents to help with various classroom activities, such as lending expertise to the gardening club. Also consider inviting parents to represent the class about customs, tradition, or celebration that are unique to their culture. So, when you use these similar strategies, you enhance your chance of developing cooperative relationship with your students' parents because this interaction focus on positive messages. It will be easier for you to contact parents and gain their cooperation if problematic situation arise later on. With parents have had positive interactions about their children with you, they will be less likely to react negatively when you ask their help with a problem involving their child.
Okay, next, I will explain about developing caring relationship. Okay, with so many strategies to choose from, there isn't a right or wrong way to show students that you care about them. So, how do the teacher ensure that they are building caring relationship in their classroom? Here are examples highlighting some of the strategies emphasized by our three teachers. Okay, first, Amy, first grade. She often comments on something that a particular student is wearing or talking about, and then given that her class size continues to increase, this is a simple and efficient strategy that ensures that Amy makes contact with each student every day. Okay, for the next is Annie for 5th grade. Anne also believes that caring relationships are at the heart of effective classroom management. Annie's trademark morning greeting consists of standing at the door saying good morning to each student and then giving each student a high five. Okay, the students love this and look forward it every morning. Okay, and then for the next is Tim, 9th grade. Tim always seems to have athletics in his class every year. As a result, he makes sure he reads the high school sports section of the newspaper every morning before school. This allows him to comment on a particular student or team performance when students arrive to his class. He also attends sporting events, club activities, and theater performances by the student. Whenever possible, he brings his wife and two sons to this event. His students love the opportunity to interact with his son. And then, now that we heard what strategies our teacher emphasized, let's hear what our students have to say about ways their teachers show they care about them. Okay, next, I will explain about in the student voice about caring relationship from the teacher. Okay, there are three students tell that like this. The teacher always made us set goals for ourselves. For example, she helped me with my writing by helping identify my strength and weakness and then develop strategies to improve in my work areas. This is first student. And then second student is you can tell a teacher cares because they want you to be interested in learning. Therefore, they take some of your ideas and build on them to help us learn in ways that are interesting to us. Okay, and then for the last student, she thought that she was always available to help after school or during lunch if we are having trouble with something. Okay, I think that's all the explanation about developing caring relationship from the teacher and then from the student that we get. I think that's all. Thank you to hear us.